Meow! Huples cat! It's unlikely, I know, but if you find yourself lost and alone in a place like this, after you realise how beautiful it is, you're going to start worrying. Is this the answer to all my survival needs? Well, it's a nice little pack and it's got a nice piece of webbing on it so you can put it on your belt. I found this, it's fairly old, I don't know what's inside it, so I'm going to open it. Fairly decent zip and a little plastic attachment cord. I'm actually hoping it has some mosquito repellent because I'm only about 20 minutes from the house, but it's quite itchy today. Oh well, what's inside here? A plastic poncho to keep the rain and the wind off me. I have found using this type of device in the summer in Ontario is absolutely awful because you sweat. It's yellow, and most people think yellow is a good colour to be seen in the forest. It's going to catch and rip really quickly, but it does protect you somewhat from the elements. What next? Aha! The staple of emergency, a thin metal sheet. I clearly don't need it today, but if there's any cordage in this, it can help make a very, very thin, not strong tarp. And it does have some slight uses in a survival situation. For not a lot of money, not a lot of weight. I wouldn't rely on this for shelter, nor would I rely on this for shelter. Not out here. I'm already getting very hot. Alright, let's hope we find some bug spray. Oh, gods above. Why? People buy these in the box. They're hand warmers. This lasts about 10 hours. Note to people, utterly useless unless you have oxygen. However, if you don't have oxygen, you probably won't want to use one of these. Thin pair of gloves, thin hat. Put that inside your survival kits. This is single use and kind of crap once it's been used. Alright, I have to take this off. Literally creating a sauna and I'm not actually doing anything. Let's see if I can put it back together. We're rapidly getting through this emergency kit and I'm not finding it very useful. That's it. This is actually a piece of kit that I don't think's any use at all. But I've actually been kind of hankering for one. When I was a little lad, these were quite common, 40, 50 years ago. Alright, basically, I don't think there's any battery in this, so you have to keep doing it. But there's a little lever on the back, and when you move it forward or backwards, this is supposed to drop out. So let's see if we can do it. Yep, there we go. And this is an on-off switch. You have to change hands fairly frequently, but this is probably going to keep you a lot warmer than this. Well, there you have it, a survival kit found at random, never opened, taken with you on hikes, and you open it and you need it and you are SOL if this is the kit you carried with you. Open up all your kits, look at them, think about them, be rational about them. Do you actually need what's in it, or is it just a just in case, very unlikely item? Plastic, disposable, hand warmers, single use. Get rid of them. This kit will be repurposed. It's going to have a bic in it inside a Ziploc bag. It's going to have some cordage. It's also going to have a source of light. And it's also going to have a few other bits and pieces in there. Because it's not a bad size, but it's very tiny. This goes on my shelf with objets d'art from previous years. Push it up and then click this and it stays up. This type of product was essentially solar flashlights or hand crank flashlights before we developed lithium batteries good enough to actually store power. So it actually has a place. You're not going to be able to walk through a forest with it without making a ton of noise and falling over. But if you want to have a quick look at a map and you don't care about the light colour, it's white, this is actually a fairly okay product. It's never really going to break as long as you don't get it wet or stand on it. As promised, those people who think I cheat, I rarely if ever cheat. If I do cheat, it's with editing sometimes when I do magic tricks. I think it's important to get knowledge and try stuff out. This is just not trying this out, and to be frank with you, if this was what I had, oh my goodness, I'd be in serious trouble. You've got lots of emergency survival blankets. Try doing it with this. I have done it in the past, that's why I'm not doing it. You have to be able to take this on and off, and it's very seasonally dependent. If it's around about 15 to 20 centigrade and you get a light rain or a small wind, this is good. Once it gets below that, this is not going to help you to keep alive at all, and nor is this. You've really got to consider where you are and what the conditions will be. I'm sorry, but this stuff's just junk for people who can't cope with a little bit of discomfort. And as ever, fold your kits away when you've used them. Restock, reuse within a few hours or at least one day of doing it. You don't want to have kits partially opened, you don't want to have kits partially used, you don't want to have kits you can't function with. So for survival, I would rate this probably an F. I think concentrate on this for my survival in this type of an environment would actually cause me more harm than good. But however, if I'm in an urban setting, I'd give this about an E. Got some uses in an urban setting because you need to find stuff to repurpose for yourself in urban and forest settings. This will help you a lot more in an urban setting, I think. Well, that's it for me. It's absolutely beautiful out here. I'm just going to go back via the beaver ponds, so I'll get about a 40-minute walk in. That and lawn mowing today, well over the hour. I'm still well over day 200 of my hour walk or more a day, apart from the one day I did 3 hours of snowshoeing. Beautiful. And the bugs are starting to get a little better, but yeah. Bug deterrent and water tablets and a water container, a flashlight and a few other bits and pieces could easily fit in this little kit and would be useful. This is not. Just an aside, you want to be in an area like this or find yourself in one rather than just the open woodland. You can build a shelter against them fairly easily, even if you haven't got a saw or a knife. You should have a knife. You can find wood fairly easily to make a crude shelter, protect you from the rain and the wind. And the rock face is ideal for helping you out in terms of thermal regulation. Know which mushrooms you can eat, know which leaves you can eat, know what the trees can give you in terms of fire starting and protection, and also glue and a lot of other things. You don't need to know everything, you don't need to be an expert, but a tiny bit of local knowledge goes a long way, much further than this. We're coming up to campsite Bravo, and over the summer and spring I've actually got a couple of big trees down which I'm thinking I might chainsaw or I might just leave them. But even a thing like this on the ground is an excellent start for an emergency shelter. And because of what I've been doing here, there's a lot of wood to build a shelter with. But you want to burn as few calories as possible if you actually want to survive. Take care, thanks for watching. Doodles. This video has been brought to you by a tiny terrier sleeping on the sofa production 2023.